Hey guys, I want to do a little answer to a question that I had. This will try to be pretty brief and to the point regarding mounting of these bags that I had in the previous video. So let's get right to it. 2014 Yamaha Bolt. So the question was, okay, so we still went with the Yamaha mounting gear such as the fender eliminator kit, which separated the space correctly so you could squeeze a bag, not way out from the bike, but nice and close, and still have enough room to get between the actual turn signal and then the shock, the reservoir part. It's tight, but there is some space. So again, the question was, well, if these bags are not the Yamaha bags, and well, how'd you mount them? How'd you get the holes correct and everything else? And I didn't show very close in the last video, so this is why I want to zip through this, okay? So if we flip it up like I did in the last video. So these are the bags, and these do not stay. I've even tried to push them. You see in there that we've got the fender washers along with the hardware. Again, I talked about in the previous video. I'll show you again real quick here. So the spacing of them, the bags, this style, the Willie Max bags normally come with, and I'm going to show you what I cut off of here. If it'll zoom, or focus is the right word there. Right along here, this line right here, okay? I've actually cut that off. This saddlebag setup is one that comes, they call it a universal, that comes where you basically plan to throw it over the top of the bike and then you zip tie it or you tie it down, lace it up. Well, obviously I didn't want that. I wanted something a little bit more, my camera's taking more than this, but rigid. Okay. So what I ended up doing is, first of all, over to my little show and tell desk here. We had the metric correct screws that I ended up using for this one. Again, they're, what are they? What is it? M6 1.00 times 25. So anyways, those are the screws that I used, the exact length. It needed 8 of them, and the kits only come with 6 a piece, so about 2 of them. So the reason why I ended up doing the fender washers setup, the largest fender washer I could find locally. So you see the hole on there is a little bit large for the head on this, the screws on the hardware. So I ended up doubling it up. That's why I had the washer on washer, and then that worked out just fine. It still gave me the 2 inches of support at 4 spots throughout the inside of the bag. Dab of Loctite. This is the JB Weld version, but this, even though it's called Permalock, it's the medium strength. You can get this out. And then I ended up, that's what I used to, just a simple box cutter to cut off the extra leather from the zipper portion that you can throw over the seat. And then when I ended up drilling it, this 1/4 inch drill, just a cheapie is all it took to drill the actual holes. So, there's noisy cars going by. Sorry about this. Okay, so back to where we were. What I ended up doing is trying to line it up, which made sense. Okay, so you've got it almost level with a slight rake forward. Again, partially for wind, partially for looks, but all in all, otherwise level. So, what I ended up doing is when I took the bag, I cut that first piece off, I lined it up. So how do you get it lined up so all 4 holes you get about right the first time and there's no real slop in it, even though you tighten it down with these fender washers snugly? What I did do is I lined the bag up just kind of like how I wanted it. Now I put in the screws the other way. All 4 of these, see them back there? I put, instead of, see how they come through to the back, as in when you're finished, I put them the opposite way. So those heads, the heads of the screw, or the bolt screws, whatever, are facing the other way. So I got it just lined up the way I wanted it. And then I pressed real hard on the bag, and I kind of wiggled it back and forth. And what that did is it made a little marring or a little scar kind of in the leather that's on the back of the bags. That way I knew exactly where I wanted it, took them over to the bench, used that 1/4 inch drill, zipped out the holes. You know, it's nothing fancy. It's not rocket science. But at that way, I knew how I had them mounted. I did the exact same on the other side. Lots of eyeballing. Definitely not a machinist grade stuff. But you know what? They're equal. I mean, they are. That's, again, why I went this route. Got the bags this way, but then they're equal that way. They don't rub anything. So you still got just enough, if I get the right angle. They're not rubbing the lights there. They're not rubbing there. And then, it's going to be hard to show you in this video, but they're equal that way. So hopefully that kind of answers what some of you might be wondering. Well, how'd you get them lined up? How did they mount? Because these bags are, again, the kind that have the leather strap with multiple, like a shoelace kind of thing that goes over the fender. With a glossy fender, I did not want that rubbing back and forth on there, scuffing it up, so I kept it that way, and it would not look right to set, in my opinion, to go on top of here. It'd just be way too bulky. And then what do you tie them to? If you don't hard mount it, you could zip tie it to your shock, I suppose, which does move. But then you're dealing with worrying about the bags if you get real heavy that they want to tip in. So the rigid mount was probably the only way I saw to get as close to factory look and still functional. So hope this helps, guys. Any more questions, just reply in the bottom.